Pork Arnett. This is another Higher Things video short. Women and the scriptures. That's the subject of today's Higher Things video short. It is a day without a woman day in the world, a day in which our country is women are supposed to boycott. I'm not really sure what's going on there. But if we look at the scriptures to find out what Christianity views of women, we'll find that Christianity loves, the Christian faith loves and adores women. It speaks highly of them. Creation isn't very good until the woman is made. Women are more precious than, a good woman is more precious than rubies. In the Old Testament, who can find such a girl? We'll get to Proverbs 30 in just a second. She's the church in Ephesians 5. In 1 Peter 3, she's she should be treated as the most precious thing in everyone's world, and not a thing in the sense of she's just a thing, but the most who doesn't want their man or their husband to treat them as the most important thing in their world other than God? God and then spouse. But if you don't have to believe me, let's take a look at the scriptures. Proverbs 30, Old Testament, an acrostic poem. Every verse of Proverbs 31 starts with another letter of the Hebrew alphabet, A, B, C, all the way down the line, starting with verse 10. An excellent woman, who can find? She's more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good, not harm. All the days of her life, she seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She's like the ships of the merchants. She brings her food from afar. Notice, she's not barefoot and pregnant. She's working. She's the manager of her household, but more than that, she's the provider of it. She rises while it is yet dark and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and she buys it. She's Trump buying stuff. Again, the idea that a woman is to be with not working or not doing things outside of the home isn't in line with Proverbs 31. Everything she does, though, this is important. Everything she doesn't do because she's equal to men. She doesn't do to level the playing field. She does it for her family. She does it for her husband. And he does what he does for her. She for him, he for her. It's the best way of saying it for now. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. In the scriptures, when they speak of women not adoring themselves with sort of clothes or worrying about expensive clothes or jewels, or we need to wear clothes since the fall. Whoops. But the idea that that they're supposed to be wearing plain is because they're to dress themselves with strength and to make their arms strong. She perceives her merchandise is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. So she gets up early and she goes to bed late and she's working all the way in between and she's doing what she's doing for her family. She puts out her hand to the distaff and her hand holds the spindle. She opens her hand to the poor and she reaches out her hand to the needy. She's not just for herself and her family. It's God, her husband, her family, and then the community. She's not afraid of snow for her household is clothed in scarlet. Her household is clothed with nice clothes. It's the North Face and it's the best brands because she is making sure it happens. She makes bed coverings for herself and her clothing is linen, fine, and purple. Purple, royalty. Jesus clothed in purple, royalty. LSU colors purple, a joke. Her husband is known at the city gates when he sits among the elders of the land. And so her conduct and her life brings her husband praise. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchant. She sells what she's doing. Strength and dignity are her clothes, and she laughs at the time to come. The future isn't a scary thing for the woman of the scriptures. It isn't. She believes that Jesus is going to die and rise again for her on Good Friday and Easter morning. And that life is lived out. That salvation is lived out for her husband, for her family, her kids, and for her community. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. The world says that women have to be a certain way to get by in this world, but her tongue teaches kindness. She looks well on the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and they call her blessed. Her husband also, as he praises her. Many women have done excellent things, but you surpass them all. This is how a man should speak to his wife, not, I can't believe you're dragging me down. He should build his spouse up. He should build his girlfriend. Girls, if you can't find a guy that builds you up, you got to find a new guy. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her the fruits of her hands and let her works be praised at the city gates. She, the woman in the scripture, is described as the church receiving from Christ, trusting that Christ is going to save her. And her husband is Christ for her, dying for her. And women, ladies, don't you want a guy who's going to die for you? Or would you rather a guy who's like, shoot her first? Submission in the scriptures is not, get me the beer when I want you to get the beer. It's, I'm going to die for you. I'm going to die for you. I'm going to live my whole life for you. And you're going to trust Jesus that my life is lived for you. And we can talk about this in later in later video shorts, but let's just sort of rejoice in the gift that is today. The scriptures magnify the wonderfulness of the vocation of being a woman or a wife. And it's not what you think. Barefoot, pregnant, behind your man, because that's the way, shut up and be quiet. It's serving God by loving your husband and caring for your family and your community. That's the vocation of womanhood in the scriptures. Extolled, the church, loved and cared for and died for by Christ. More on this next week, but your questions and comments, welcome. I'm Pastor George Borkart. Here comes a thumbs up that everybody loves. And this has been another Higher Things video short.